Hold up. The Bears made what move that has a good shot of ruining Caleb Williams' entire career? That plus we announce our contenders and pretenders and so much more. Flag on the Take is back. Let's get it, baby. Today is a little bit of a weird episode because I will once again be doing a solo mission. Unc J. Lou is out on assignment once again, so he will be back shortly. But today you got just me, and maybe if you guys are lucky, you might get a little cameo from Miss Hizzy later. Not sure yet, that's to be determined, but oh well, you got me, and it's going to be a good episode. I got some crazy things to say. Let's get into it. Since Jordan's not here, I'm going to selfishly talk about my North Carolina Tar Heels real quick. They played on it was Friday. Yeah, this past Friday. They played at Kansas, which was the first time since 1960, I think they were talking about on the broadcast. They lost 92-89. They were down by as much as 20 in the first half. I honestly thought the game was over with how poorly they were playing in the first half. Nobody could buy a shot. Everyone just looked lost and confused, like they didn't really know what they were doing, even though they were the ninth-ranked team in the country. But second half, I think they made some halftime adjustments. They came out, they played a hell of a lot better, kept the crowd out of it more. Elliot Cadeau looks really good. In my opinion, he's the college basketball equivalent of Ryan Williams. He was an extremely young freshman last year that we had, and this year he really has just grown a lot. He looks extremely good this year, and it looks like he's going to be the face of the program once RJ Davis graduates this year. So I'm very excited for the Elliot Cadeau era. I honestly feel like he's going into the league first off, so we might not even have him for that long. But I know UNC is traditionally a 4-year school, but still, if he's that good, he might not even be here that long. But we got Seth Trimble, who came out of nowhere. Last year, that guy was only averaging eight points a game-ish, somewhere around there. And he's already up to averaging over 15 points a game. He hung 30 in the preseason, and then he put 15 or 18 on Kansas. He's become a really reliable shooter for us, so I'm really happy about that. But you can tell that this team misses Armando Bacot. Oh my God. Hunter Dickinson was just having his way with us like there was no tomorrow. Because we don't really have a big. I mean, I really like Jalen Washington, but he's obviously not Armando Bacot. So now this is also his first year starting, so I'll give him a little bit benefit of the doubt because he needs time to adjust to being a starter and having to guard everyone's best big. But yeah, this team misses Bacot. It's not like the NBA. We can't keep him around for 15 years no matter how much I wanted to do that because I was a big Bacot fan. But I think if we can solve our presence inside and obviously just get better at shooting the basketball, which I feel like every team says that they need to get better at, I really do think North Carolina could be a problem this year in a good way. I really think we could make a deep tournament run, which is obviously the end goal here. So Hubert Davis looks like he's actually doing some coaching now and not just relying on Bacot and RJ Davis to just carry the squad. There was we got a couple freshmen in there that played a couple minutes. They didn't really do much, obviously, because they didn't play that long. But, I mean, they looked good from what I saw, but not enough for me to form an actual opinion on them yet. We had a big-name transfer, Cade Tyson, and he played, 2 minutes, if that? He barely played. I don't know why they were hyping this guy up all off season. They were saying he was kind of like Brady Manick, and then he doesn't even play against Kansas. So is he Brady Manick, or is he just another white dude that happens to be good at basketball? So we'll see. There's obviously more to be seen. North Carolina's obviously just now tipping off, but I'm very excited for this season. I think the squad has potential if they round into form. But moving on to professional basketball, we got the NBA going on. Whew. Jordan and I's Sixers, they are down bad, to say the least. We are 2-7 currently on the season, and I don't know if it's going to get any better. I'm going to be honest. I saw a thing the other day that I've been echoing, and I forget who it was, so sorry for not being able to give the credit where I saw it, but I've been kind of hinting at this. The long windup for the pitch. I think this is a situation kind of like the Brooklyn Nets a couple years ago, where they had Kyrie Irving, James Harden, Kevin Durant, and they just never played together. They were a trio for 2 or 3 seasons, and they played a whopping, 20 games together? So I am concerned that is going to be this situation because we have the very injury-prone Paul George, who just always seems one way or another to get not even like genuine, I don't want to say genuine, but not even like serious injuries. It's just like freaky stuff that it's just like freak accidents on the court. Like when he hyperextended his knee earlier, like yeah, it was funny to make a meme about because it looked like the sassiest injury ever, but that's just freak stuff that doesn't happen to normal players, but it happens to Paul George all the time. And then Joel Embiid, that dude's knees hurts like the rents do, so you never know when you can see him. I mean, he will be coming back tonight. I am recording this right before the game tips off against the Knicks, so I will be watching that once this concludes. But Joel Embiid is returning tonight. It's the NBA Cup or whatever bullshit they're trying to get us to buy. Like, I just like watching basketball, dude. I don't care if it's for an NBA Cup or regular season or what. I just like watching hoops. But Joel Embiid's back. It'll be Joel Embiid and Paul George carrying the load for a little bit. Tyrese Maxey got bit by the injury bug, and he's out at least 2 weeks with a hamstring injury. And with that dude's level of explosion, like that guy, he needs everything because his game is very dependent on his speed. So I feel like a hammy injury, they need to keep him out as long as possible. Because as much as I love Tyrese Maxey, he's my favorite Sixer currently. But we can't have that hammy linger all year, especially because his game is so dependent on his burst and his speed. If we let that hammy linger around, we are in trouble and we're asking for it. And Maxey, as crazy as it is the healthiest of the three, which I know is ironic right now because he's currently injured, but he is the healthiest of the three usually. So I hope it's not a situation like that. I hope they all three can play together because obviously I would enjoy that as a Sixers fan. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I'm fully expecting to get an ass whooping tonight from the New York Knicks in this NBA Cup BS. So I'm not even mad at it. It's Embiid's first game. He'll play a whopping like 20 minutes. Paul George will shoot 4 of 15 from the field again. Caleb Martin will go 1 of 10 from the field. Kelly Oubre will go 4 from 20 for the field. And the Sixers will be 2-8 at the end of tonight. Now, hopefully, I hope this ages like milk because my takes normally age like milk, but something tells me that that is not going to be the case. So we'll find out. I'll find out as soon as I'm done recording. That's the Sixers. They need to get it together because not many teams that go 2-7 or probably 2-8 after tonight end up making the playoffs. But speaking of Tyrese Maxey and his hammy injury, the NBA is littered with injuries right now. It is insane how many stars are going down with injuries. None worse than the Pelicans. The Pelicans have been absolutely hammered with injuries. They got DeJounte Murray out with a broken hand. I saw Grand Theft Alvarado is going to be out a couple weeks. I didn't really read into that because I was at work. Zion's out indefinitely with a hammy injury. That's not good. That does not sound promising, especially for a guy at his size who also relies on burst because of his size. Pelicans were my sleeper team heading into the year because of all the talent that they had, but I think their entire starting five, except for Brandon Ingram, is currently out with injury currently. So that take, I feel like, should get a mulligan because if you're missing 4 of your 5 starters, I have a feeling that you're not going to live up to the expectations that Flag on the Take has bestowed upon you. So Pelicans had a chance, but that I believe is going by the wayside. It all depends on how fast they come back. But with how long Zion and DeJounte are out alone, I think their season, if they can tread water till they get back, they still got a shot. But I might be requesting a mulligan later. Of the smallest of the injuries news, Jason Tatum tweaked his ankle against the Bucks. When Tatum shot a 3, Giannis's foot inadvertently was underneath of it. Tatum lands on said foot and tweaks his ankle. Fortunately, he was able to finish the game, which gives me hope for him that he's not truly injured. I really do think it was just a tweak. I feel like if it was a sprain, he would not have finished that game. So, thank God he's okay. We got Kevin Durant. He's out 2 weeks with a calf strain. Personally, I think it's going to be longer than 2 weeks because calf stuff lingers. I mean, look at friggin' Christian McCaffrey. He just now came back. I'll get into that later. But calf strains, that stuff lingers, man. That just doesn't go away, especially after as little as 2 weeks. It better have been just a really tiny calf strain, if anything, if he's only out 2 weeks. But last time Kevin Durant sprained his calf, it's Achilles. I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm just saying that's what happened last time, that happened. Obviously, at his age and his size and how good he is, I do not want him to tear his Achilles, but We all remember those NBA finals. And then moving on to the most serious of injuries of the bunch, Chet Holmgren out 10 weeks with a fractured hip. I don't know if you have seen the video. If you have not seen the video, you should seek it out because I don't really know how to describe it. Like, it looked bad, but it didn't. Like, he landed hard because he was contesting an Andrew Wiggins layup, which Wiggins still made the layup. Chet was more pissed about him still making the layup than he was about breaking his hip, which was funny as hell. But yeah, Chet Holmgren is out 10 weeks. Go out, watch the play if you have not already seen it. He just goes up, contests the layup, and then he falls down like a hard fall in the NBA, and then he just doesn't get up. So obviously, prayers out to him. Prayers for a speedy recovery because OKC, this is supposed to be their year, especially in terms of winning the conference. So Chet Holmgren was obviously going to be a big part of that because he's the second best player on that team, in my opinion. So they need him back as soon as possible. I think SGA and company will be able to tread water. They probably won't be the number one seed while he's out, but if they can stay in that top 4-ish, even top 5 range, depending on how quickly he gets back, I think they'll be okay. So prayers out to Chet Holmgren. That sucks. The last thing in terms of the Eastern Conference is the Cleveland Cavaliers are somehow 11-0. 11-0. I'm not talking about the Kansas City Chiefs, brothers. I am talking about the Cleveland Cavaliers, the NBA. That's insane. I don't think this has been done, or excuse me, they're 12-0. Oh my God, even worse. They're 12-0. Not talking about football. We're talking about basketball here. We play 82 games. 82 games, and they've already won the first 12. That's a massive advantage. The last time this happened, I believe, was when the Warriors went on their 73-9 season, if I remember correctly. So, I don't know how long this is going to go. I wonder who their next game is. Well, their next game is against Philly, so they'll be 13-0. Then who do they got after that? After that, they're home for the Bulls. They could be 14-0, to be honest with you. They might just go 82-0. Who knows? I knew Cleveland had a deep squad. I didn't think they were the most gung-ho team, the most like in your face. We're going to come into your trap, take over your trap. Shout out Kirk Cousins. I did not think they had that dog in them per se, but they are 12-0 and probably going to be 14-0, and who knows how much even longer. Spider Mitchell and the boys, shout out to them. It is not going unnoticed. You guys are setting records. You guys are kicking wholesale ass. So I'm kind of intrigued to see how it goes because Boston got their ring last year. So if this is Cleveland's time to shine, hell, if Philly sucks, I'll root for them. I don't give a shit. I got nothing else to root for besides my favorite players. So shout out to Cleveland and Boston seemingly running the East. Cleveland being a 12-0, Boston being 9-2. The third place team in the Western Conference. So first place, Cleveland Cavaliers, 12-0. With a 12-point difference in their scoring, if I'm reading that correctly. Holy shit, they're not just winning, they're beating teams. Second place, your Boston Celtics, 9-2, with an 11-point difference. That's crazy, too. They're 8-2 in their last 10. Third place in the Eastern Conference, the Indiana Pacers. Love Tyrese Halliburton. 5-5. Third place is 500 in the Eastern Conference. Oh, well, you think maybe there's 3 or 4 5-5 teams. Well, you're wrong. Orlando Magic, 4th place, 5-6. Brooklyn Nets, 5th place, 5-6. The New York Knicks, 4-5 at the 6. I mean, the 10th seed is the frickin' Detroit Pistons at 4-7, brother. The Sixers have a worse record than the Pistons. Like, the Sixers have the same record as the Wizards, who are in full Cooper Flag mode. Sixers came into this year, we're all in, like Jerry Jones. And the Wizards are full Cooper Flag mode. Same record. And I'll have to refresh my memory. I'm almost certain the Sixers don't even have their first round pick this year. So, sounds like someone's going to get Cooper Flag on the Sixers watch. But the Bucks are 2-8, so we're not the only ones that were supposed to be good that are sucking ass currently. But remember how I said that third place in the Eastern Conference is the 5-5 Indiana Pacers? Yeah, you want to know what seed they would be in the Western Conference? 11th. The third place team in the Eastern Conference would be out of the friggin' play-in tournament on the Western Conference side. That is a huge, massive change in power. The Western Conference is so stacked. The Western Conference is the wild, wild west once again, like Kobe Bryant used to say. And the Eastern Conference is friggin' cupcakes besides Cleveland and Boston. That's insane. OKC, 9-2, number 1 seed. Number 2 seed, Phoenix Suns, who just lost Kevin Durant, 8-2. Golden State Warriors, remember how I said they were my dark horse team? 8-2 in 3rd place. 4th place, 7-3 Denver Nuggets. Don't look now, but the 5th place, 7-4 Houston Rockets. Where did they come from? I expected them to take a step forward, but I did not have them being the 5th seed about an eighth of the way through the season on my bingo card. Even the friggin' Clippers are 6-5. All they have is James Harden. They don't got Kawhi. We took Paul George from them. I don't know what's going on. I don't know how they're doing that good. Even the Kings are 6-5. The Mavericks, who went to the Western Conference Finals, are 5-5 after adding Klay Thompson, which that will be a good game. It's either tonight or tomorrow night. Klay Thompson is heading back to Golden State for the first time. That is going to be a good game. But the West is wild. The East is cupcakes besides the Cavs and the Celtics. So, this NBA season, I've been intrigued. I know viewership is down, but the NBA, I mean, I've enjoyed watching it. They've been a little bit more physical this year. No, I'm not saying it's physical like MJ's era. Don't even start that shit with me, okay? They're being a little bit more physical. I know there's still some touch fouls. I get it. They can't be perfect, at least yet. That's going to take time. But it's a trend in the right direction. So, I'm enjoying it. You know, this has been a good season so far. I'm trying to soak it in more. You know, Kevin Durant's 36. Curry's 36. LeBron's 40 or about to be 40. So, a lot of the stars that I grew up and when I got into the NBA, they're starting to get old, man. So, I'm trying to soak it in. Trying to watch them as much as I can because I know that the hourglass is nearly out of sand. But moving on to college football. What a wild, wild week of college football. Down goes Georgia to Ole Miss. I want to say I saw that coming. This felt like a trap game for Georgia because they have Tennessee this upcoming week. I felt like this was a trap game. Ole Miss, they were fighting because they honestly had nothing to lose because this was it. They lose and they're out of the college football playoff. So they fought like there was no tomorrow because really there wasn't. And Georgia went in. They mucked it up early. It was a rainy game. And Ole Miss just played better than them. Carson Beck looked like absolute crap. But that's expected of him. I was never high on him. I know Jordan was never high on him. But for some reason, people had him mocked to go in the first round. Well, he's mocked to go in the 3rd round now. And, okay, I'll give him a 3rd round grade. That's fine. I didn't have a 3rd round grade on Stetson Bennett. I can tell you that much, brother. I had a FedEx grade on that guy. But Carson Beck, okay, I see a little bit. But I saw his comp as Jared Goff. But Carson Beck already is playing on the best team in college football. Okay, arguably the best. Top 3. Think we can agree on that. And looks like crap. He looks bad. He does not look good. So either he needs to get it in gear or he's going to keep plummeting down the board. Because honestly, I think he's only a 3rd round pick because he's Georgia's quarterback. I know people had that argument for Bryce Young and Mac Jones and all that stuff about being Bama's QB. Well, that's how I feel about Carson Beck. I think he really is only even getting NFL consideration is just because he plays at Georgia. So, Georgia's got 2 losses. I'm almost certain they're gonna fall down some of the college football playoff rankings that are coming out tonight. They lose one more time, they're done. I don't see a 3-loss SEC team getting in. I don't see a 3-loss team, period, getting in. But this is the first year. There's no precedent. So this is the year to do it, per se. But I think if Georgia loses one more time, I really don't think that they are going to get into the college football playoff, which is crazy because they were one of the favorites to win the whole damn thing this year, and they're on the verge of not even making it. Because they lose to Tennessee, they're out, brother. 3 losses, no shot. I don't want to say no shot, but Dumb and Dumber chance, per se. There's not going to be a big chance. But speaking of teams that are now out, LSU, they are eliminated. All but officially eliminated from the college football playoff because Alabama went down to Baton Rouge and kicked the living hell out of LSU. It was raining. It was nasty. Jalen Milroe ran all over them. The fans were leaving in the third quarter. LSU had a friggin' tiger on the sideline, and the mayor of Louisiana came out and said that the tiger on the sideline, the real-life tiger, was the only LSU tiger that showed up on Saturday. I thought that was hilarious. But he's not wrong. I mean, Garrett Nussmeier looked bad. Brian Kelly, I don't even know how that guy still has a job, but he does. And I don't know for how much longer, but he does currently have a job. I don't know how long he's going to keep said job. I don't know how hot his seat is, but I know he needs to get it in gear within the next couple seasons because LSU has short patience because they're expected to win a natty every year. It's LSU. So, Bama went down in there. Shout out to Bama making a statement. Kalen DeBoer getting the boys in there all the way in Baton Rouge. Now, Alabama, if they play like this consistently, they're probably the best team in the country, in my opinion. But Alabama's problem is not the talent or the play, per se. Like, they got it, and we've seen what it looks like. Like, literally, this game, we've seen what it looks like. But it's the consistency. You know, Vandy's tough squad, good side, I get it. They lost to Vandy. They tried to lose to South Carolina. If they played like how they played against LSU every week, they'd be undefeated right now, in my opinion. I mean, they already beat Georgia. So we know they got it in them. They just need to actually go out there and do it consistently, week in and week out. I'm very high on Jalen Milroe. I really do think he could be a good NFL quarterback someday with the right coach and the right fit. But he needs to show it to me more consistently if he wants to get that first round bag, you know. Next up, the next major upset of the week. I'll probably just go over this very little because this is Jordan's team that he's rooting for this year. So I was hoping to be able to talk about it with him. You know, bust his balls a little bit about Miami choking. Miami blew it. Well, Miami blew it. Cam Ward did not blow it. That guy played out of his friggin' skull per usual, and his team once again let him down against a tough Georgia Tech side. Cam Ward, 25 of 39, 348, 3 tuds. He did about as good as he could do. I mean, I don't know what more they could have asked for him besides maybe clutching up a couple throws there, but he's literally willed that team to where they were. They would not even be sniffing the top 25 if he was not playing as good as he's playing right now. But he is the only reason that they are worth a damn. So, shout out to him. I still think if a quarterback is going to win the Heisman this year, it is going to be Cam Ward. Personally, I still got Travis Hunter as who I think should win the Heisman. But if it is a quarterback, it's going to be Cam Ward. And I don't even think it's going to be close in terms of other quarterback competition. But we'll get into that more a little bit as Jordan returns to the pod from assignment. Yeah, going into the Heisman race. Another thing I was going to talk with Jordan, I still have Travis Hunter as my Heisman pick heading into this next week of college football. Man, where has the season gone? I feel like it was like 2 or 3 weeks ago the college football season started. And we got 2 or 3 weeks left before, I think it's 2 weeks left, and then we got conference championships. Like, what? I feel like the season just started. That's the only thing. That is the only thing I hate about football is how fast the damn season goes by. We're already in double-digit NFL weeks, and it felt like forever waiting for the NFL to come back this summer. I could not wait. I said so many times, and as this podcast goes on, not this particular episode, but as the show itself goes on, you will hear me all throughout the offseason saying just how much I miss football. And we're already double-digit weeks. It's insane. It blows my mind how fast football season goes. And I'm going to blink, and I'm going to wake up in what feels like tomorrow, and it's going to be playoff time. But That is all for college. We are moving on to the NFL. Jordan and I, we went to the Ravens and Bengals game, and man, it could not have been a better game to go to. Oh my God. It started out a little slow. We were like, defense. John Harbaugh's trying to blow it. But man, that second half. Holy crap. That was so cool. It was just back and forth and this roller coasters of emotions. I was all over the place, to be honest with you guys. I was all over the place. That game had me the highest of highs and the lowest of lows. But hey, we came out with a dub. I do not fault Zach Taylor for going for the 2-point conversion. I'm not saying that because it worked out. I would have said the same exact thing had he made it. I criticized Todd Bowles for not going for 2 against Kansas City. So what kind of a podcaster would I be if I were to criticize Zach Taylor but also criticize Todd Bowles? So Zach Taylor, not the wrong decision. Yes, I'm a Ravens fan, obviously. And yes, Joe Burrow got fouled. All right? There should have been a flag. I'm glad there wasn't. The Ravens normally get screwed by the refs. So I will take this little bit of ref luck because we normally do not have it. So Lamar Jackson is playing out of his freaking skull right now. I think after Jared Goff's performance, and I'm going to get into that, I think after Jared Goff's performance, Lamar Jackson locked up the MVP. Unless he has a 5-interception game or a couple multiple turnover games or gets injured, I think Lamar's going to win his 3rd MVP. And I don't think it's as good as his 2019. It's definitely better in terms of his passing for his 2019 season, but his running was significantly better in 2019. So I think it's dealer's choice of which of those 2 seasons were better. That sounds like more off-season fodder than actual conversation mid-season. But barring Lamar having massive amount of turnovers or just playing like absolute crap, I think the MVP is his to lose. So, which sucks because as a Ravens fan, as a Lamar fan, Lamar already got 2. What's one more? I really wanted Jared Goff to get it because of everything he's been through and his story and with the Detroit Lions and their story. So I was rooting for Jared Goff. I was bummed out for him to have 5 freaking interceptions. But yeah, MVP's Lamar. And we'll get more into this when Jordan returns because we'll want to tell you guys all about our experience. So I will not do all of that without him. But just know, very happy the Ravens won. Jordan will also go in depth about his Steelers because he was also in attendance for that game when they played the Commanders, and arguably, my opinion, was the game of the week. I mean, Steelers 1 by 1. I'll give a little bit of a breakdown since Jordan is not here, just to kind of build the bridge to next time when Jordan talks about it. But Russell Wilson had his worst start as a Steeler. I think that's an easy thing to say, but he still had three touchdowns and they won. They ran the ball well. I don't even think Jaden played that bad either. Thinking about it now, thinking about the quarterback play from both squads, I don't think there was a lot of drops. I don't want to say Jaden played bad because I don't think he played bad, but I do think that this was one of his weaker performances in terms of how stellar his rookie season has been. I don't think he lit it up. I don't think he was great. He might not have even been good, but he played well enough. And when you're a good team like that, all you got to do is play well enough to keep yourself in the game and have a chance to win it at the end, which he did. And they were about 4 inches and a false start away from winning that game, actually, if you think about it. Because personally, I thought Zach Ertz got the first down. I thought whatever the call on the field was what was going to stand based on how close of a play that was. So since they called him short on the field, I figured they were going to stick with the call, and they did. And then everyone and their mother knew the Pittsburgh Steelers were not going for it on 4th and 1. Let's call a spade here, all right? I don't know how to say homeboy's first name, so I'm not going to say it because I'm not trying to butcher his name. But dude, I'm sitting on my couch with a beer. Even I knew they were not going to go for it. I don't know why he jumped. That's a coaching thing in my opinion, because they should have told him, like, hey, no matter what, do not jump. And who knows? They might have. They might have already gone over that. But he jumps. Steelers win. You can tell that they weren't going to go for it based off of their reaction to him jumping off sides. So, good for them. They earned it. Washington could have won that game. Honestly, either team could have won that game. No, neither of those teams beat the hell out of the other. So, good for the Steelers. I think this is a measuring stick game for them coming up against the Ravens. Obviously, Russell Wilson's going to have his best start as a Pittsburgh Steeler against the Ravens, because I think I could throw for 300 yards against the Ravens. So, that doesn't shock me. Honestly, I'm just waiting for them to face like a top 5 passing defense just to really like see how he's doing in that offense. Because you got to think, they played 2 New York squads and a Washington team that didn't have Marshawn Lattimore. Now, I know the defense was on a heater, but still, I'm intrigued to see. Russell Wilson's probably going to throw for 400 yards against us. Najee and Warren will probably only get 30 yards apiece against us because the Ravens have the number 1 rush defense. But this will be interesting. I'm excited for it. Miss Hizzy and I will be at the Ravens and Steelers game in Pittsburgh. So we will get a little bit of content for that, for the pod. But yeah, I'm excited for this game. I think it's going to be a tight game no matter what. I haven't checked what the line is. I can check that real quick. I can't see it being bigger than 3.5. Ravens -3. All right, yeah, I was right. So Steelers are home dogs. That is not good news for the Ravens, because anytime Mike Tomlin is a home dog, I feel like he normally wins that game. So a little nervous, but I'm very excited for this game. Moving on, the Colts, the Bears, and the Jets are all dead in my opinion. And here's why. Okay, the Bears. We'll start with them first. Let me tell you about a fella named Trevor Lawrence. Right? He was the most hyped quarterback prospect since, Andrew Luck? When T-Law came out? And now Caleb Williams comes out, and they're saying the same thing about him. He's the most hyped quarterback since Trevor Lawrence, yada, yada, yada. Trevor Lawrence, in his first season, they fired the offensive coordinator and the head coach. Caleb Williams, offensive coordinator, is fired. And quite frankly, I think the head coach should be fired as well. So I would not be shocked if he is dismissed later in the year or at the end of the season. Look at Trevor Lawrence. Yes, he got an extension, but what has he done? And quite frankly, has not looked good this year or the past couple years. So I think them firing their offensive coordinator, I think the Bears not getting it right in the offseason. Why did they not go get Jim Harbaugh? Or Cliff Kingsbury? Why did they stick with friggin' Eberflus and Shane Waldron? I knew Shane Waldron was ass when JSN, who's one of the nicest humans on the planet, went on a podcast or an interview, and they were like, yeah, what's your opinion of Shane Waldron? And he just chuckles and goes, good luck. That should have been a sign from there. Clearly Shane Waldron had no idea what he was doing, because they weren't even scripting plays. How do you not script plays in the NFL? Look, it's not good for anyone to lose their job. I've been very adamant about that anytime someone's been fired on this podcast. But, I mean, Shane Waldron, come on, dude. And the Bears. I'm not calling Caleb a bust. I'm not saying that. I'm rooting for Caleb. I hope he does well. Hope he thrives in whatever offensive coordinator system that they hire next. But history suggests that this could ruin Caleb Williams' career. So, they need to be very careful with that. I don't want it to ruin his career, but like I said, history suggests that it will ruin his career, because that means he's going to be at 3 offenses in 3 years, which is not good for a young quarterback, especially on a team that's not necessarily the best in terms of O-line. So hopefully Caleb figures it out and they can break the curse in Chicago. But as of right now, they are screwing Caleb over. And I feel bad for him. Maybe he should have actually requested not to go to the Bears. Who knows? But the Indianapolis Colts, they are dead as well. Joe Flacco, my childhood quarterback, I'm always defending that guy. He did not look good. I'm going to be honest. He did not have his best game against the Buffalo Bills. So, Joey Flack, get it together, buddy. I need you to do well. Don't go out like this, bud. Come on. In my opinion, if the Colts lose their next game, makes them what? 4-7? Yeah, 4-7. at that point, or is it 3-7? 4-7 at that point. If they lose this next game, they might as well put Anthony Richardson back in, because the whole thing about AR is he needs the reps. He needs the reps. And the whole reason they put Flacco in is because they think they can make the playoffs this year. If they lose this game, they're toast. So, this is Flacco's last chance in terms of starting. He loses this, AR goes back in. So, we'll see. Two of the teams that I think are dead are playing each other this week, because the other team that I think is dead, which I think everyone and their mother already knows, is the New York Jets. But this is very intriguing to me, because with their season being a wash and Aaron Rodgers' age, is he going to play even if they're eliminated from playoff contention? I'm just saying. He says he returned because of how much he loves football. We'll see how much he loves football when the playoffs are out of the reach. Personally, I don't think he's going to play, because their luck, the New York Jets' luck, is that they will play him even though the playoffs are out of reach, and then he'll re-tear his Achilles. So I don't think they're going to play him if the playoffs are mathematically eliminated. Their season was over when they fired Robert Saleh. I don't know why they fired him mid-season, especially that early. Like, you punted early on the season. That was crazy. But a team I want to get into, the Chargers, shout out my boy Kyle, are sneaky elite. Now I know it's the who have they really played. Yeah, I'll give you that. But Jim Harbaugh football, he's going to pound the rock. He's going to play good defense. He's going to have a tough offensive line. He is absolutely in love with Justin Herbert. So, I'm just saying, we'll find out how real the Chargers are coming up. They got a tough 4-game stretch coming up. They start with the Bengals this week on Sunday Night Football. I'm not saying the Bengals are what the Bengals have been, but they're no slouches. And then they got the Ravens coming to town for the Harbaugh. That's going to be difficult. At the Falcons. That's not easy. It might be the easiest game of the next 5, but it's not easy per se. Kirk Thuggins got something to say about that. I can promise you that much. And then they are at the Kansas City Chiefs. We know how that is. And then they're home for the Bucs. And then they're home for Denver, who could be fighting for a playoff spot. So, we're going to find out a lot about these Chargers. But right now, they have one of the best defenses in the NFL. They're running the ball well. Justin Herbert is doing just enough, which is what they need him to do. Nothing more, nothing less. They don't need him to be Superman or get himself hurt. But I'm saying it now. Beware of the Chargers. If they win some of these games that they're not supposed to, you better watch out. Because that's Jim Harbaugh football, baby. And then, as I was saying earlier, that we will finally get into, Jared Goff threw 5 interceptions against the Houston Texans. What in the Sam hell was going on in that Sunday night football game? Jared Goff, 5 picks. CJ Stroud, 2 picks. Like, that's a lot of interceptions. I felt like every time one of them threw it, the other one just threw it right back to him. They were just like, all right, no, CJ, I don't want the ball. You have it. No, Jared, I don't want it. You can have it. Like, what was going on? And then in Dan Campbell fashion, he's doing the interview saying how they need a turnover. And right on cue, the Detroit Lions, they get the interception, which I thought was really cool because of how they timed that up. But I just feel gutted for Jared Goff because he's thrown 4 interceptions all season and he throws 5 in one game. He was plus 700 to win MVP. He was the dark horse. He was like, Lamar was the favorite, but Jared Goff was hot on his heels, and now he can kiss that goodbye. He pretty much has to not throw an interception the rest of the season. So, Jared Goff will obviously be a Pro Bowler, which will be good for his contract. Might even make All-Pro, to be honest with you. We'll see. I doubt it, but, I mean, it's in the cards depending on how well he plays throughout the rest of this season. But don't look now. Jared Goff, don't look now for the Lions because their quarterback just threw 5 picks and they found a way to win that game. That's crazy. But I just feel gutted for Jared Goff because this was the year for him in terms of winning MVP because this is probably his last year with Ben Johnson, his beloved offensive coordinator. So, it's all right, Jared Goff. Bounce back. You got this, dude. I believe in him. I didn't believe in him when he got traded to Detroit, but I do believe in him now. So, Detroit obviously is the team that everyone is like, oh, look out for Detroit. Well, because they're on a roll, brother. And they're going to take you out. They've only lost one game, and quite frankly, they could have won that game too. It was against the Bucks in week 2. But now we will do our, or at least my, contender and pretender for college football and for the NFL. I'm not going to get into it much in terms of arguments because I want to wait for Jordan to come back because, that's just what we do. But in terms of letting the people know what I'm thinking. So, the sneaky contender in the college football playoff, in my opinion, and I think you can guess it if you're a fan of the pod, give me Coach Sig and the Indiana Hoosiers. Hoosiers. Now, I say this because, now it feels weird to say this first off because Indiana and football, that's not normally a thing. But I absolutely love and adore Kurt Cignetti. That dude is just the type of football coach that I absolutely love. He's tough. He's hard-nosed. He's funny. He's got charisma off the charts. And he just knows how to win football games. Google him. He wins. He says that all the time, and I absolutely love it. But when he went to Indiana, he brought all of his JMU stars, who were stars at JMU, that team that went, 11-1, 12-1, something like that. And then, on top of that, he brought the group of 5 all-stars with him. Like, he's bringing all MAC, all-conference players from these smaller conferences. So, he's got the best of the best in terms of the group of 5 players, all playing in the Big Ten, mind you. Now, I know they got a little bit of a cupcake schedule, all right? We'll really see how they look against Ohio State later. That's fine. I'm fine with that. And if they lose by 50 to Ohio State, then I might have a different tune. But if they only lose by 7 or 10, I can see Indiana going far because Ohio State is, in my opinion, the best football team in the country, as it pains me to say. But if Indiana can hang with Ohio State, there are plenty of teams that are going to make the college football playoff that they're going to be able to beat, especially if they have a home game. Now, my pretender. This might be a little spicy. It might not be spicy, depending on what side you sit on. But I think Penn State is a pretender. It's all about Drew Aller's the guy, and we're 8-1, and yeah, that's cool. But watching their games, they just don't move me. They seem like they make too many easy mistakes, and James Franklin always finds a way to lose the big games every year like clockwork. So Penn State is my pretenders. They have some good players, don't get me wrong, and they're going to make the playoffs. I'm not saying they're not good enough to make the playoffs. I'm just saying in terms of teams that people think can make a deep run, I do not think that Penn State will be making a deep run. But that is it for college in terms of my pretender and contender. We move on to the pro side. My pretender in the NFL is the Minnesota Vikings. Now, like I said earlier, if you are a fan of the pod, you have heard me talk about the Minnesota Vikings. And every week I'm like, I don't think they're legit. But until they start losing, I have no choice but to at least acknowledge that they're winning. Which I did in the moment. But Sam Darnold has regressed to the mean, in my opinion. He has come back down to earth, back down to being an average quarterback. All of this stuff about what are they going to do with J.J. McCarthy, or are they going to pay Sam Darnold? They're not paying Sam Darnold. He's leaving this offseason. He's just supposed to be a bridge for J.J. McCarthy, and that's exactly what he's going to be. So, Sam Darnold, it was a nice little magical run while it lasted, buddy, but you'll be a great backup quarterback somewhere. Don't get me wrong. He's going to be a great backup quarterback. But in terms of being a starter, I think his days of being a starter are cooked. And in terms of my contenders, now, I really, 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 really wanted to say the Arizona Cardinals here, but I was not 1,000% confident in this pick because Kyler Murray, I feel like, is doing a lot of the heavy lifting here. So this could age like milk, but I just want to give an honorable mention to the Cardinals. But my actual contender is the Green Bay Packers. Now, hear me out. You might be like, oh, well, I mean, Green Bay Packers, they just paid Jordan Love and Josh Jacobs and their defense and yada, yada, yada. Yes, but they're third place in their division right now. Who is actually considering Green Bay making a run here? Nobody, really. I'm not saying Green Bay's going to the Super Bowl. I am saying Green Bay's going to win a playoff game. Now, I get that is spicy. That's fine. It's just I see the Minnesota Vikings falling off. I see the Packers sneaking in. And depending on who they draw in the first round, they're going to win a playoff game. I don't know. Now, if they draw someone crazy good, like somehow draw the Lions, yeah, they're not winning a playoff game. But if they get someone that's gettable like the Falcons, they could win a playoff game. And we saw what they did to Dallas last year. So, Green Bay, that is my contender. I think they're legit because they got the defense to back it up. They can run the football when it gets nasty out. And Jordan Love loves being like Brett Favre. So, I can see if he doesn't turn the ball over stupidly like he did against the Lions, Packers could be legit contenders. So, we'll dive into that more when Jordan comes back because I will get his pretenders and contenders, and then we will debate. But I could not leave the people on a cliffhanger. I had to at least let you all know who mine was. Obviously, I do not know who Jordan's is because I don't want to know until we are ready to debate. But I'm glad that I was able to fulfill. Glad I was able to come through for everybody. So, thank you all for listening to my solo pod. I'm very glad that you all listened this far. If you have, Jordan will be back soon. I don't suspect a second solo episode. We might release another episode this week, depending on how soon he's available. So, it was a great week of football. We got another great week of football coming up. Like I said, Miss Hizzy and I will be at the Ravens and Steelers game, so we will be having content in terms of live events. But thank you all for listening. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and please share to anyone that you know that you love sports. Please follow and drop a like on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Thank you all for listening, and I'll see you next time. See ya.